If I conferred with our furry friends, man to animal, think of the amazing repartee. If I could walk with the animals, talk with the animals, grunt and squeak and squawk with the animals, and they could talk to me.
Hello and welcome to Pet Watch, a monthly program about the Williamson County Animal Center and the services we offer in the community and some of our community friends. And my special guest today is Leslie Morrison.
Good morning.
Good morning, Leslie. And our other special guest is her new pup, Bentley, who is a diabetic alert dog in training.
Correct.
Now, Leslie, you are a diabetic and you're also somewhat of an expert, I think, on what constitutes a service dog. Let's talk about that first. He's your service dog. What, in your mind, how do you define what a service dog is?
Sure. So Bentley is 5 months old. He's a diabetic alert service dog in training, like you stated. My past diabetic alert service dog unfortunately passed away in March. So he has a very long journey ahead of him, about a year and a half, to be completely consistent on alerting to high blood sugar and low blood sugar and any fast-moving trends. So a service dog is a dog that's trained specifically to perform a task or tasks for a person with a disability that falls under the ADA. So in looking for a service dog in training, I evaluated a lot of different puppies and looked for a temperament that is very stable, no phobias to noise, sudden movements, things like that, a very high desire to bond and be with humans, and also for him specifically a very strong nose that took interest in the hypoglycemic scent. So all of those things combined with constant training is going to turn into a fabulous diabetic alert service dog.
Wow, I know he is. Right now he's going to take a nap, we hope.
We hope.
Now,
just a baby.
You are what type of diabetic?
So I'm type 1. I was diagnosed when I was 5 years old, and I've had type 1 diabetes for almost 41 years now. So I don't really know anything different. I don't remember before type 1 diabetes, and of course the advances now are incredible. But what I found with my past diabetic alert service dog, Jackson, is that he was faster and more accurate than the continuous glucose monitors. So it's just amazing. He could catch a fast dropping low or a fast rising high an hour beforehand, and then we would check in intervals, and he just 99% of the time was right. They are a lifeline for type 1 diabetics. They
Their
really
sense
are.
of smell is so much more acute.
Yes.
Than, well, they're the animals that we're around every day, dogs. I don't know about wild animals, but they say a dog can smell 150 different things in this room. So,
absolutely. If he smells a piece of roast beef, he doesn't smell the roast beef. He smells everything that is involved in that roast beef, every seasoning that's been used, just the whole scent picture together.
Wow.
And then we train and fine-tune that nose with scent imprinting to really make him a scent detection expert.
Now, how did diabetic alert dogs the Borderland way? That's the name of the organization.
Correct.
You've gotten both of your dogs through and that you believe in and advocate
Yes,
for.
yes.
How did they get started?
So the original founder of Diabetic Alert Dogs, the Borderland Way, is a wonderful lady named Ann Walling, and her son was a type 1 diabetic. So she spent probably almost a decade researching diabetic alert service dogs, the best way to train them. She went over to Europe and really put together this wonderful, amazing program that trains these dogs and the handlers how to save lives. I mean, it just comes down to that. Jackson, my previous diabetic alert service dog, was actually in the pilot program. And so, they train basically for about a year and a half to 2 years to become really consistent. But once they get it, it's like a light bulb that goes off, that they really start to understand and they really get it. Oh my gosh, the results are just amazing.
I remember watching Jackson work because you had a drop when we were discussing
Yes,
things one time on a
yes.
previous show, and he
Yes.
alerted the whole program.
Yes.
So take me through what happens if your blood sugar starts to drop right now. Ideally, the Bentley will eventually do what thing? You said a service
Sure.
dog does certain things. So he
Certain
follows
tasks.
a sequence, doesn't he?
Right. So typically, what I've noticed with Bentley is a little bit different than Jackson, but they're very comparable. So they'll recognize the scent. So for him right now, when he recognizes the scent, he'll start sniffing the air. He can't exactly target yet that scent is coming from me, because we're working that hypoglycemic scent in various scenarios, in scent boxes, in the aisles of Home Depot, etc. So he hasn't completely associated it solely with me. When he gathers the scent, he will target focus to where that scent is. And when he finds it, which is me, he will paw, and then I will say, do I need to check? He will paw again. If I don't say eventually, now remember he's in training,
Right.
do I need to check or let's go check, then he'll eventually step back, bark. If I still don't say let's go check, he'll go alert someone else, run through the same thing. If they don't respond, he can actually be trained to retrieve an emergency kit for me, or to utilize a special phone to dial 911 and bark into the phone.
Wow.
So right now for him, he's putting pieces together where he recently did his first live alert, which means he alerted on me when I dropped. He sniffed the air. I grabbed my phone so I could catch it on video, and he very quickly just threw his paw on me and then went and laid back down and waited for his treat. I was so proud of him.
Now, how did he get trained? Is he recognizing in you saliva? Is that how you've trained him? So diabetic alert dogs, owners like you who are diabetics and are learning to train the dog, do it in their own home. You don't just go pick up a dog at a farm and they say, it's your diabetic alert dog, have fun.
Right.
You do the training because
Right.
you're unique. Is that why?
So hypoglycemic scent, which is low blood sugar, and hyperglycemic scent, which is high blood sugar, it's the same in me and you. But when you mix in our hairspray, our perfume, our lotions, what have you, it changes that scent picture. So the dogs are imprinted with that pure hypoglycemic and eventually hyperglycemic first. We usually do low blood sugar first because it's the most dangerous. And they learn that target pure scent. But then they have to connect it to their specific handler.
Right.
So again, I wear a certain perfume, you wear a certain perfume. So when you mix that with hypoglycemic scent, your scent picture is different than my scent picture.
Right.
So he's got to work through all of that to target that pure scent.
So what do you do? Take cotton balls and just gradually introduce the smell in a, you said a box, or you take it to a public place?
It's a very long process, but basically they're imprinted with that scent from your saliva in a very specific way for a certain amount of time. And once that imprinting is confirmed, then you start moving it into scent boxes.
Okay.
And then they have to identify which scent box amongst several scent boxes. And then you hide the scent. And then would they work off of a scent wheel that has different lavender and vanilla and baking soda and insulin, all different things. And then you eventually move it to the person. And sometimes they'll digress a little bit when you move it to the person, because it's like, where's the box?
Yeah.
You know, so you have to really work for them to target on the scent and nothing visual, no cues. So diabetic alert service dogs are really medical alert service dogs. Seizure alert, diabetic alert, they don't work on commands. So they're on 24/7 and they have to make decisions themselves. It's not somebody commanding and saying, my blood sugar's low, you need to alert. Where a mobility service dog is very different than a medical alert service dog, because you give a command, open the refrigerator, pick up my keys, et cetera, et cetera. These dogs just, they don't get a break. So you have to make everything about it fun and exciting and enjoyable so that
Do you
they
have
want
to use
to work.
rewards to in
Oh
your
my
teaching?
gosh.
Yeah, so he eats a lot of treats.
Yes, we do a lot of rotisserie chicken from Publix. He loves the Joe, and we kind of rinse it off and cut it into tiny pieces, but we use very high value treats and lots of praise and toys.
Yeah.
Just everything that makes him happy. And like I say, he's just a baby. He's 5 months old. That's an infant. That's 20 weeks. So for him, you see he's got his sock monkey. So it has to be fun, or it's no fun to be a service dog.
True. Now you mentioned the Borderland Way. Is that, or how many dogs do you think people have taken from the, is there a Tennessee chapter of Borderland Dogs, or is this the only place it exists?
We're just
here?
here
Okay.
in the Middle Tennessee area, but we do have manuals that we've literally shipped overseas to Europe and tried to work with people via Skype, on the phone, things like that, because even though they're training at the facility on Saturdays, all of the work has to be done at home. It's like constant homework, you think, oh, I graduated from college, no more homework, but it's constant. You never stop training these dogs. So you're doing most of your work at home, and then you're coming to the center and you're putting everything together, seeing where the dog is, where the progress needs to go to the next steps, and then each person has a customized plan based on the progress of their dogs, what to do this week,
Right.
and we'll see where you are.
They're receiving support from people who've been through the program and understand it.
absolutely.
Are there other diabetic alert dogs that use the scent type plan in the United States? Is it a common thing? Or?
It's really the only way to train, and there are various methods that you can use for imprinting and things like that, but the commonality is to collect the scent when you're low or high and utilize that scent to imprint on the brain that scent, so they recognize it. They say whenever you do anything for 21 days, it becomes a habit. It's something similar for dogs, in that when they're exposed to the scent for a certain amount of time, they'll always recognize it.
And one of the things I like about him, and I knew about Jackson was also a family dog, and Jackson had his fun time. It's you say he's working 24/7, but hey, he would jump in the creek, run across the field, have his fun time outside. So it's not like these dogs don't get a break or get love. They're loved to the nth degree, because they're not only your pet that we're all used to, that kind of thing, but they're your lifeline.
Absolutely. So they know when the vest goes on. The vest is for public access. So when the vest goes on, I need to be perfect. The vest doesn't mean he alerts. So he alerts no matter what. These dogs, him, Jackson, oh my gosh, I've got photos of him covered from head to toe with mud. He loves to get dirty. He loves to swim. He likes to do dock diving, where, they jump off the dock into the water. He is treated like a prince, a baby. He gets to be a dog, get dirty, like you say, run through the fields, play with other dogs.
And he's still a pet. Very much part
absolutely.
of the family. Just to a different degree than most of us with our dogs.
He plays hard and he works hard, and he loves both. And when you get that vest out already, he gets excited, because he's like, okay, we're going to do something. And when you take him to the lake, everything goes out the window. It's jump in the water, roll in the mud, play with the ball, chase the birds, all of those things.
But if he noticed a scent change in you, he would stop playing. And
Absolutely.
your goal is for him to stop playing and to go back to work immediately.
Absolutely.
Now, you mentioned the Americans with Disabilities Act, which was a little bit of a misnomer, and it simply says that you can't discriminate against people because of their illness or handicap. That's not the right word. Their disability.
Right.
So explain how that applies to service dogs.
So for service dogs, the ADA was developed to protect people with disabilities.
Right.
So anyone with a disability that falls under the ADA and has a service dog is federally protected under that law. So that falls under the Department of Justice. So again, a service dog is a dog that has been trained a specific task or tasks for a person with a disability under the ADA. There are also, they have full public access. So anywhere that I go, he is allowed to go, other than churches. Because religious organizations, there's a separation between church and state. So a church has the right to deny access to a service dog. Now, hopefully they would never do something like that, but they have that option. There are also emotional support animals, which is very different than a service dog. An emotional support animal provides comfort for a person who has anxiety, depression, things like that. They do not have public access rights. They are allowed to fly on planes under the Air Carrier Act, and they are allowed to live in housing that does not allow pets under the Fair Housing Act. Then there are therapy dogs. Therapy dogs are pets that are trained to go into nursing homes, children's hospitals, and bring joy and love to people while they go through procedures, etc. They have no public access rights, they have no air carrier rights, they have no fair housing rights.
Does the ADA actually list those disabilities that?
No.
Okay.
There's
a
many.
vagueness there that, and I don't know, in the 2 years since we've had a conversation about it, has there been any progress in defining a service dog on a national or state level?
It is a very frustrating thing that we are advocating for, because unfortunately people are trying to pass off their pets as fake service animals. That hurts people like me. I heard recently that a blind individual with a guide dog was not allowed access due to a bad experience they had had with a fake service dog. It's really got to stop.
Is that in a business?
It was in a business.
Now, what does a business have an obligation and a right to do when someone approaches with an animal?
So
mostly they're dogs, right?
They are.
Yeah.
And as of March 2011, a service animal is defined as a dog specifically. In certain instances, and it's a very long, complicated thing, mini horses are allowed, but it's rare. So because of people trying to pass off their pets as fake service animals, now businesses don't know what to do. And there is a very specific protocol that they should follow. They are allowed to ask 2 questions, and a legitimate handler is required by law to answer those 2 questions. They are, number 1, is this a service animal required by a disability? So my answer would be yes. Number 2, what task or tasks has the dog been trained to perform? For me, I would say he's a diabetic alert service dog or he's a medical alert service dog. I can't be asked to show his certification papers. I can't be asked what my disability is, although I'm very forthcoming and I just say he's a diabetic alert service dog. He can't be asked to perform the task. Obviously, that's not going to work. So, but they can ask those 2 questions. They should ask those 2 questions. And if the handler refuses to answer those questions, they can be asked to leave but invited back without their dog. A service dog or a fake service dog can be asked to leave a public facility for 2 reasons. If they are not house trained, or if they are out of control and not immediately return to the control of the handler. So that would mean barking outside of an alert, because part of his alert would be a bark. It would be barking at you, lunging at people, jumping on people, etc. And they can be asked to leave, but they may return without their service dog. The problem is businesses don't know what to do. They don't have enough education, and so they're not asking the questions. And so I went into a restaurant the other day, and a woman was sitting in there with a small dog up in her arm at the table. Service dogs have to be on the floor at all times. It does not matter the size. A service dog can be any breed, any size, any mix of breeds, but 4 on the floor unless they're giving some sort of alert or performing their task. Again, ESAs, no public access rights whatsoever. And people are abusing that. You know, they may have a legitimate ESA, but they do not have public access rights. And then therapy dogs, who sometimes therapy dogs are as highly trained as service dogs, and they have no public access rights without the permission of the facility they're going into.
What's another legitimate form of service dog other than diabetic
Sure.
alerting? What's another
So
one
there's
that-
the very visible ones that everyone knows, such as guide dogs for the blind. They used to be called seeing eye dogs. Hearing alert, that will alert someone to a person approaching, the doorbell ringing. Mobility alert, that would be for someone in a wheelchair with MS, and they, like I say, pick up keys, open doors, etc. Your entire medical alert realm of dogs, which would be diabetic alert, seizure alert. They're even training dogs now to alert to peanut allergies, because that can be fatal.
Right.
So your alert type dogs. And then there is a PTSD, specifically trained, task trained PTSD service dog, which is very different than an emotional support animal. And a PTSD service dog is trained, for example, they're usually with a veteran 99% of the times, and if the veteran starts to have a flashback or a moment of panic, that dog is trained to break that focus of that individual and often remove them from the premises by pulling on clothes, blocking them from something that's creating the flashback, etc. So it all comes down to task trained. If a dog is not trained to perform a specific task for a person with a disability, it's not a service dog.
That's that second question. So if a person is asked that question and they can't come up with a task, then that's a clue for the business owner
Right.
to say, then I'm sorry,
Right.
your dog can't be in here.
But you're welcome to come back. We just cannot accept your dog. And it is a fine. If someone files with the ADA, there is a fine to businesses that deny public access to legitimate service dogs. But there is also passing off your pet as a service dog is a federal offense, and that is punishable by a large fine and jail time if the federal government decides to pursue that. But also in 16 states in the U.S., and this has happened since we spoke last, in 16 states it is a misdemeanor to pass off your pet as a service dog. And so the states where that is occurring, unfortunately Tennessee is not one of them yet, but they're very quickly advancing forward. Then if you do that, and those businesses ask the right questions, and it's determined that is not a legitimate service animal, you have a misdemeanor on your record.
Wow. And I've seen that. There are even vests that say anxiety trained dog, or you know, and people are carrying these into businesses. I've seen it.
Yeah.
And it's a shame because they're not trained to do anything, and
Right.
it's just their pet that
Right.
they have a bond with and don't want to leave at home.
So people like me get challenged because
Right.
I don't look like I need a service dog. And the majority of disabilities are invisible.
True.
If you think about
Yes.
that, unless you're in a wheelchair, even those who don't have their eyesight are so perfected at functioning in the world, you often can't tell. So when you have an invisible disability, you're going to get challenged. It's just going to happen because of the people trying to pass off their dogs as fake service animals. And you can spot them a mile away because the dogs are so highly trained that are service dogs. They're invisible. You don't notice them, so to speak,
Right.
because they're so highly obedient. They're under tables.
Right.
They're not standing out, you know, and you can just tell. You can
can.
tell.
I'm running out of time, but I want to mention a project you're also involved in
Sure.
called Turkey Dogs,
Yes.
which is golden retrievers that are street dogs in Turkey.
Yes.
And you're with the Golden Retriever organization. Which one is it that works
Adopt a Golden Nashville.
with? Okay.
So we are Adopt a Golden Nashville, which is a Golden Retriever rescue. We used to be Middle Tennessee Golden Retriever Rescue,
Right.
but we changed our name to expand our rescue footprint. Adopt a Golden Atlanta started several years ago doing doing international rescue and bringing these golden retrievers off of the streets of Turkey to the U.S. And so because they are our sister rescue, which is one of the reasons of expanding the rescue footprint, more resources, we're involved in that program also. It doesn't hurt any of the Goldens in the U.S.
Right.
We always
It's still the most,
take
isn't
a
it the most
Golden.
popular family dog in the
One
United
of them,
States? Yeah.
yes, Labs, Goldens. So we're bringing in 2 this summer. This is our 3rd international rescue, and we're really, really excited about it, to bring those dogs from
Because they roam the
surviving-
streets there.
Oh, yes.
Yeah,
yes.
They're not that they're starving, but they're not in a family setting, and it's
Right.
better for them to become a dog like this, or through a loving family, and they're well taken care of, but it's
Yes.
just a different culture, and
Yes.
something hard for Americans to understand. And they take
Yes.
their dogs to restaurants over there, especially in Italy and France. They
Absolutely.
just breathe. So it's a different culture, but it's great that you're working with them and giving those dogs a different life than roaming the streets and eating scraps and so
Yes.
forth. Well, I've
Yes.
learned so much, and I know our viewers have.
I'm so glad.
And we're so happy because Bentley didn't eat the carpet while he's taking a nap most of the time. I want to wrap up by talking about a few events that are coming up at the shelter. On August 4th, we'll be participating in Real Men Love Cats calendar debut party during the Franklin Art Scene at Gallery 202. Now that's from 6 to 9 on August 4th on a Friday night, and Penny Adams has put together a calendar of cat lovers in the community that include many of our public service workers. There's even a boxer, a professional boxer in there that is holding a cat. So we're trying to bring awareness to cats, and part of the sales of the calendar, which is beautifully photographed, will go to the Williams County Animal Center. So if you want to see that, and stop by Gallery 202 during the art scene August 4th. And then on August 5th, we'll be doing a hot pavement demonstration and summer pet safety out at Scouts Pub at 10 o'clock on a Saturday. Basically, if you wouldn't walk barefoot on the pavement, your dog doesn't want to either. Please remember that during the current heat wave and every summer when the pavement gets hot. We've actually restricted our shelter dogs from walking on pavement for at least 2 weeks now. So remember that. If you wouldn't want to put your hand on it for 10 seconds or walk on it barefoot, then your dog shouldn't be. On August 19th, we'll be at the Pet Sense store in Franklin with some dogs to add to the cats they already have there from our facility. And then on August 25th and 26th, Mars Pet Care will be coming back to our shelter for a 2-day adoption event where they will sponsor all the adoptions. So that will be a big weekend. On August 26th, that same weekend, we'll have our monthly rabies and microchip clinic at the shelter. And then in September, the 15th, on a Friday, we'll have our annual Caddies and Canines golf tournament. If you're interested in that, go to cheekwoodgolfclub.com. That's the course there on MacHatcher Boulevard, just across from the back of the shelter. And I encourage you to come by Williams County Animal Center at 106 Claude Yates Drive anytime to see our dogs. I can't guarantee we'll have one as beautiful as this one, but Leslie, thank you again.
You're so
and
welcome.
if anybody has any questions about the Borderland Way, they do have a website, diabeticalertdogs-borderland.com.
Correct.
And you could go there and find out more. Thank you for watching Pet Watch, and I hope to see you again next month.
If I conferred with our furry friends, man to animal, think of the amazing repartee. If I could walk with the animals, talk with the animals, grunt and squeak and squawk with the animals.